Hi there everyone, it is currently the 16th of December 2011, about 04 Zulu for those of you worldwide watching this video update today on Tropical Storm Washi or Tropical Storm Sendong. If you are in the Philippines watching this update that is named by Pagasa, current winds out of it about 45, gusting up to 55 knots, so it is a moderate tropical storm, not quite the typhoon status. Does not look it's going to reach that status as well, but right now looks like we're starting to see an increase in circulation on this system as it continues to move off here towards Mindanao, bringing some heavy precipitation with it. And actually, if we look at this IR water vapor differential imagery, you can see some of these higher cloud tops already moving onshore. And with this, we're looking at precipitation in some areas over 50 millimeters an hour, potentially up to 60, 70 millimeters an hour. And overall, we could see numbers, really staggering numbers with the system, specifically here along northern Mindanao and parts of Visayas here around Samar. You could see an overall precipitation amount between 400 to 500 millimeters of rainfall, and that's just basing on this overall accumulation per hour as this continues to move onshore, and also along the eastern slopes here of these mountains you could get that rain enhanced by orographic lifting in this entire area here. So definitely a potentially dangerous situation out here across much of the eastern Philippines. But if we zoom the satellite imagery back out here, you can see the storm moving off here towards the Philippines right now. It is definitely going to continue on this due westerly path, and that is due to all these clear skies off here just towards the north. Well, that is the West Pac High, and basically a ridge of high pressure keeping the system and pushing down on it and keeping it here towards the south. So even as it moves here off towards the Sulu Sea, across Palawan, and eventually off towards the South China Sea, it likely is going to continue to follow this trough of low pressure out towards Vietnam. We're actually going to talk a little bit more about that and later in the update. But right now, it does look like it's going to continue to cross this region, and with that, Mindanao, really rugged terrain out there. So the potential for the storm to weaken is more likely now, as the storm is likely going to be making landfall here around Davao Oriental along the eastern portion of Mindanao. And you're already seeing these rain bands already noted moving onshore, and really see this big band right in here. Well, this is likely where you're going to see the heaviest area of precipitation. Actually, let me mark this out one more time. Is right in this entire area right in here, where that potential for flooding, mudslides, and landslides as well, specifically along those eastern slopes of those mountains and in the areas of a steep grading, that really that threat there is definitely going to be in effect as the storm continues to move onshore. And then eventually after it moves offshore, especially down here towards the southeast, you could have recurvature of moisture coming out of the Sulu Sea and pushing back onshore along the western portions of Mindanao as that moisture continues to get picked back up and drops on these areas of the mountains. So really the entire island here definitely looking at the potential for some heavy rain showers. And even off here towards the north, as far as southern Luzon, you see all these little bandings right in here? Well, these are just outflow from the storm, but basically by the afternoon, the evening hours, some of the positive vorticity within the storm could enhance some of that convection off here towards this north. So even as far north as Manila, you could see some heavier thunderstorms, not directly related to the storm, but potentially enhanced by the fact that it is in the area here. Well, with that said, let's look at some of the warnings from the various agencies out here, starting with the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Currently has the system at 45, gusting up to 55 knots, has it tracking off, making landfall in a similar location as we noted earlier around Davao Oriental here along the eastern portions of Mindanao, before it eventually tracks off here towards the west, the Sulu Sea, and then eventually the South China Sea. Now, good news on the 19th here, see how it starts to recurve, or actually curve down here towards the southwest. We'll also look off here towards the right. You really see a drop off in intensity, and that is due to an upcoming cold surge that's going to be pushing off here from the north. And actually, if we look at the model outlook really quick, using the GFS model outlook here, you start on Friday, and then as we look into the next several days, see all these areas in red and yellow and blue here? Well, that is an increase in winds pushing down here towards the south. You have the circulation of the tropical storm right in here, and as we look off towards Saturday and eventually towards Sunday, those winds continue to push down here towards the south, and that is due to the next cold surge, this massive area of high pressure bringing cooler air down and pushing down in towards the Philippines and portions of Vietnam. But with that is going to be an exceptionally high increase in vertical wind shear, also dry air inflow pushing towards the storm, and that is one of the main reasons why you see that massive and quick drop off in intensity. So for those of you in Thailand and parts of Malaysia and even Cambodia here that are fearing the worst by heavy precipitation with the storm, it looks like it should die off with that upcoming cold surge. So really, this surge really kind of is a big pain as far as cold air up here towards the north, bringing the heavy snow showers, but really going to be a big savior as far as this tropical storm. And here looking at JMA's outlook on the storm after it comes across across Mindanao and starts moving off towards Palawan, just like JTWC. And lastly, looking at the track of Tropical Storm Sendong here by Pagasa, showing it a little bit farther south than the other two agencies, but all in all, eventually does track off here towards the South China Sea, moving across Palawan as well. So with that said, I strongly advise for everybody along the eastern portions here to take Bagasa's advice. Make sure you stay safe. If you're in any of these low-lying areas, be aware of the potential for some flash flooding if it's not already occurring across this entire area. And also be aware of some of these enhanced thunderstorms off here towards the north, as well as the storm continues to track across the location here, across the Philippines, and eventually off towards Palawan. But that is all on the storm right now. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I do want to zoom back out really quick here and look at the rest of the Western Pacific. I mentioned quickly about some heavy snow showers earlier. And that is off here towards the north, towards Japan. See all these stratocumulus lines here extending all the way from Korea off towards Hokkaido? Well, these are all snow showers being enhanced by that cold air running across the Sea of Japan here, and really being enhanced also by the orographic lifting along the western sides of the Japanese Alps. So definitely going to be getting more snow out here if you are a skier or really looking forward to this. But if you are an everyday person out across this entire region, definitely looking at a treacherous driving weather across the entire region here as these sea effect snows continue to set in. But good news if you're there in Hokkaido and you're looking forward to the ice festival, this is perfect weather for starting to make a lot of those sculptures up there that are typically built by January and into February. But that is all for right now, everybody. As already stated earlier, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please let me know and I will get back to you. And definitely for all of you here in the Philippines, please stay safe. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.